The Strain Season 4, Episode 9, The Traitor. So this is the penultimate episode, not just of the season, but of the entire series, which blew my mind. I had no idea, because this is, Episode 9. I don't know why I just said it. I don't know, I had to look at my phone and read it again. But I didn't know we only got 10 episodes this season. I had no idea about that. And it took me forever to watch this episode, because the FX website was being kind of dumb. It just wasn't loading the episode, so couldn't watch it on cable, so I was trying to watch it online. That's why it took me forever to do this review. But it was just crazy. I was like, I had no idea we were this close. I didn't know we were just getting a 10 episode final season. And it's been fairly succinct. It's been pretty good, and it makes sense. Like this is the final season. You go with killing off the main villain, or one of the main villains in Ichorus, and then the episode right after that, Strakian dies, and so then we have this episode where everything just goes wrong, and then we're going into the finale, and it was a good freaking episode. Like, the whole time I was just like, how is this going to play out? Because we know Zack, of course, is going to betray his dad. He hates his father. That's his character, is that he hates his father to an idiotic level. And I was just wondering, where is this going to go? How is this going to play out? How are they going to find out? Because I knew Zack's plan wasn't going to work like 100%. And I love the fact that it didn't, but it still worked well enough. And they're going through, and it's like, no one trusts Zack, but they end up having Desai, and so they have him locked up. He's not saying anything. Dutch gets super pissed off. She beats him up a little bit. Fetch trying to get some info out of him. And then they're like, okay, well, let's send in Quinlan. Let's see how that plays out. And I love how that scene played out, where he's like, you can't do this. You can't kill me and stuff. And then he cuts her free. He's like, oh, thanks. And then he, drags him out of the chair, and he drags him all the way down to the room with his wife. And he ends up spilling the beans, like, alright, he's in the Empire State Building, this is the floor that he's on, they draw out the plan and everything. And then it's like, alright, well, if we got this information from him, after threatening his wife, that must be the truth. So, let's go to Zack, let's see what's happening. Tells him the same information, gives him, the same drawing and everything, and it's like, alright, well, I love Quinlan's line, because he was like, that's just the perfect amount of the truth that a spy would give. It's like a genius move. And I was like, that's so true. That's exactly what a spy would do. So they go through, and it's like, alright, well, we still don't fully trust him, but we at least have this information that's correct between both Desai and Zack, and neither of them knew the other was here. So we know for sure that at least this bit of information is actually the truth. Whether we trust Zack or not, irrelevant, we know this information. So they lock him up, and F is like, alright, well, I'm going to take my son out. He's my son, so I'm going to trust him a bit more. Takes him to the roof, gives him a pop, he's playing it up. I don't remember the last time I had a ginger ale, all this extra crap. Cuts his thumb, and they walk away, and he leaves that little bit of blood, and I was like, they're screwed. And then they get into the room, and I was so happy, because F just paused, and he was like, when was the last time you had a can of pop? How many cans of pop have you opened, in your entire life? And it was like, how many times have you ever cut your finger on a can of pop? And that was it. And it was like, I think that you did that on purpose to leave a signal. And, Zack's still playing it up, and it was a great scene, actually. I really liked the scene. And then F is starting to break down. He's like, I know he's just lying to me. And he just yells at him, and he's, tearing up. It's like, you just have the decency to tell me the truth. And then, look at me and tell me the truth. And so Zack looks up, and he just spills the beans. He's like, basically, I hate you. Always hated you. Mom is still alive. The kid's, he just doesn't get it. But, she's alive. Mom's alive in the Master, and he lets her speak to me sometimes, and it was weird how it actually ended. I was very surprised, to be totally honest. After everything that played out, everything that Zack had said to him, and everything we knew was kind of true of him, hating F the whole time, being mad at him for killing his mom, and all that stuff. The way that it ends is Zack says, the Master said I can do with you whatever I want. And I just want you to tell me where the nuke is, and you can live. And he freaked out when F, was like, you made your choice, so now you live with it. And he locked him in the room. He's like, I'm trying to save your life. And he was screaming it. And I was like, I never thought he'd say that. And that sounded real to me. I don't think at that point, he'd already spilled the beans as far as the truth. So I don't think he was going back to lying. I think he was actually trying to save F's life. But he did, everybody else be damned. And I was just like, wow, I just didn't expect that line. I thought it wouldn't matter to him at all. But just like F won't kill his son, which he had the opportunity, it's his son. I totally understand. As crazy as his son is, still his son. So it's just like, yeah, I get it. He couldn't kill his son, and his son still doesn't want him to die. And I was like, huh. I expect that from F. F is actually a rational human being. Zack is not. He is a kid who lost it and didn't bother to really come to terms with everything that truly was. And then once his mom, the Strigoi, was killed, he lost it even further. Clearly, he set off a nuke. So it was just interesting. I was like, wow, I never would have expected that line from him where he's like, I'm trying to save your life, just tell me where the nuke is and you get to live. But of course that doesn't happen. They go to the Federal Reserve, everyone's together now with the nuke, and he's like, alright, well, it's probably a trap. Everything that was said to us was probably a trap from Zack, but the Empire State Building is pretty much all we got, so we have to at least go, try to set the trap off early, and then, set off the nuke and, figure all that out. But of course it doesn't play out too well. Quinlan goes up the building, he gets surrounded, and then everyone gets surrounded on the road, and that's where the episode ends. And it's just like, okay, well, I'm not 100% confident that everyone's going to live. Maybe all the main characters, sure. Side characters, not so much. There's only like one side character that actually matters at this point anyway. But I don't know. It's just crazy. Like, they're completely surrounded. We're going into the final episode, and I feel like some of the main characters might die. It's really hard to say, like, especially with it being the strain. Quinlan basically has to die because his life is tied to the Master, so if the Master dies, he dies. So that's almost a given. And then, I don't know, I'm just so curious. I'm like, is Zack gonna die? Like, it's just crazy, because I'm like, I knew F wasn't gonna kill him this episode, but he might, I don't know, he might change his mind in the next one. It's the series finale. I always kind of throw all my theories out the window when it comes to series finales on shows, because it's just like, you never know what's gonna happen there. Like, you might think, it's like, I think this might happen, or that might happen, but when I get to a series finale, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just throwing, I don't really bother with theories for last episodes, because it's just like, I feel like that's when writers get the most creative, is when it's at the very end, and it's just like, sure, you might have some, sort of typical lines going here and there throughout certain arcs of the series, and certain ideas will just be like, yep, that's what everyone does, and that's what that person will do, even if it's a slight variation. But when it comes to the end, you just never know. Like, there's always that chance that it can be the most minute thing, and one main character can get killed off, and you just never really know. So it's hard to say. I'm sure the only main thing is I know they'll beat the Master, unless this is like a super, super dark ending, which would be insane. That's like the one thing I think I can guarantee as far as the theory. They will ultimately beat the Master, but who knows who'll live to see that end. But I'm incredibly excited for the series finale. Crazy that it's the series finale. I really didn't think we were this close, but I'm looking forward to it. I thought this was a really good episode leading up to the finale. But of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. Sorry it got super dark. I noticed that like a minute ago, but I can't change nature. But I would love to know what you guys are looking forward to with the series finale. Of course, if you guys do have theories, I would love to hear them, or love to read them. So by all means, I throw mine out, outside of the fact that I do think they'll at least beat the Master. But I would love to read your theories if you guys have any. And just if there's anything you want to see in general. I'm sure a lot of people just want to see Zack killed. They probably wanted it in this episode. I wouldn't have hated it. I knew it wouldn't happen, but that was one of those moments where I was like, I know this won't happen, but man, that would have been amazing television if he actually like killed his son in the episode and he was able to like fight through that pain. That would have been crazy. Like, that would have been something I never would have actually expected to see on television. But he didn't do it in this episode, but, of course, with the series finale coming up, you kind of have to save it. But we'd love to know your theories, and, of course, just like I said, what you guys want to see, and, of course, what you guys just thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.